Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to this video. It's all of the highlights from the Gaydon Land Rover Show 2024. Hello.
Hello.
Long time no see.
It's been about a year.
About a year, yes. And tell us what you brought in.
I brought my beloved Holland and Holland.
I do love the Holland and Holland. Now, many people here will know what the Holland and Holland is. A few won't. Tell us what is so special about the Holland and Holland.
The Holland and Holland is a bespoke edition. They teamed up with Holland and Holland London gunsmiths to make the ultimate country vehicle. So you've got gun stock wood all throughout, so it's all walnut gun stock and all saddle leather rather than the usual leather they use, so it's a lot thicker, a lot better quality. It's beautiful.
And what I love most is it's still got that air of opulence.
Yeah, you can smell it, the leather and the wood. It's gorgeous.
And it's ticking over beautifully. I didn't even realise it was ticking over, it's so quiet. But can we have a little burble?
Can you feel the car shaking?
I saw the car shake. I'm leaning down. I know this one. I can hear this one burbling over yours. And this one, sat next to us, is, well, it's not just any Range Rover, it's not just any driver. This is your daughter, is it not?
It is. My little girl's been coming with me to every single show for years and has wanted a P38 for years. And she got given this beat-up old off-roader and the engine had it. It was a mess, and she has rebuilt it herself with a bit of help from a friend. But she's done a lot of the work herself and is now reaping the rewards. She's been on the road for 4 months, and this is her first big car.
Well, her first. How old is your daughter? I know you should never ask a lady her age, but I'm not asking a lady her age. I'm asking her mum, her daughter's age, so I can get away with it. How old is your daughter?
She's just turned 18.
18, and she's at the helm of a V8 Range Rover. Absolutely wonderful. What a way to get into land. You're spoiling her, you know.
I didn't do anything. She's done it all herself.
I know, but you are spoiling her. Because coming up later, we've got the Series 1 club in. Let's put her in one of those. She would be in for a shock.
Clutch control, wall.
Well, yes, along with all of the other controls. Now then, let's move on to... Hello!
Hello!
You look very pleased.
I am. I'm driving my baby.
I have yet to see a Range Rover owner, apart from when they get a bill, look unhappy.
You don't go to petrol stations often then?
Well, no.
No, I'm only joking. She's brilliant. Less than half a tank to get here, so I'm happy.
That's good. I mean, that's not bad coming from Banbury. How long have you had this?
This one, only about 6 months. We've left our other 4 home for the weekend.
Oh, the 4?
Yes, yeah. We have a bit of a fleet of anniversary Range Rovers. So this one's a Vogue 50, which was the 50th anniversary of Land Rover. So 1998, Land Rover's 50th anniversary, they brought out in this particular colour, there was a Defender 90, Freelander, Discovery, and supposedly 50 of these, 30 of which had the Karen system and the telly screens. But they were so popular, they brought out another possibly 25, no one's entirely sure. So they're all individually numbered. This one's number 64.
Of 50.
Of 50, but apparently, according to the build sheet, it was one of the original 50, but numbered 64. So we haven't quite worked that one out yet.
Well, there's plenty of time to work it out. Plenty of time. How long did you say you'd had this for? Not very long.
Not very long, about 6 months.
And were you looking for a 50th, or was it one of those that's popped up? Like the look of that.
We were looking for a 50. Well, we were looking for a P38 because it was the gap in the collection. So we've got a 35th anniversary, 40th anniversary, 50th anniversary, a classic, and so we needed a P38. Somebody had commented on a show that we'd been to that there were no P38s. I said, it's all right, we'll have one by next year. And he said, what do you want? And I said, well, looking for a Vogue 50. He said, oh, good luck with that. 10 minutes later, he said, look what's on eBay. So it was 10 minutes down the road from us, and it's got our series of number plates on it because all our numbers are our number OVR, and it came with our 6 OVR, so it was always ours.
Excellent, that's fantastic. Now, to get it to the state it's in now, because it does look glorious, you said the key word there, eBay. Did it come like this, or how much money have you spent?
It came like this. It has a complete respray, apart from the roof. Don't look at the roof. Somebody had left a Stanley knife blade on the top, and there's a bit of a rust mark, and it lack appeal. But that's fine. You can't see it. It had a respray. It's got complete new suspension. It's got complete every single thing that could possibly have ever broken. He replaced. It would have cost us more to actually do the work than buy the car. So it's a free car.
Excellent. That's what we like to see. And we've got a couple of other specials in the arena here with us. Go on. What have you found?
Have you seen how much it was when it was new?
Oh, wow.
In then.
Wow. I've just seen that. 1990. Do you want to have a guess? How much was this in 1998? Throw me some numbers. Come on. Anyone? There's more of you out there. Go on, shout a number. 55. No. Anyone else? Close.
71.
£71,000 in 1998. Final vehicle that we're coming on to. Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks. You all right?
I am very well. I'm very well. I have to say, you're probably the only person here who's turned their engine off. And the only reason I know that is because that is on 0, and I'm assuming that it's not broken. Tell us what we brought in here.
This is a 30th anniversary P38. I believe one of only 200 made, and they made 100 with the entertainment pack, which is the screens in the headrests, and this is one of those, so 1 of 100.
Wow, very rare car to have. And unlike the 50th anniversary, which we had just a couple of minutes ago, this one was only done in Range Rover.
Yeah, this was the 30th anniversary for the P38, so you only got it in Wimbledon Green, which was only available on the 30th, and the Autobiography, I believe.
Had it long?
Yeah, I've had it about 3 or 4 years.
And were you looking for this spec, or did it just pop up and you're like, that's the one?
I had another one. I had a DHSE that I was getting serviced, and the guy that looks after it had this in the workshop that he'd saved, and it had pretty much the only panels that weren't dented was the roof and the bonnet. And
really?
And it was sorry state. It was a real sorry state. The couple that had owned it had used it for towing a horse box, and basically, I think you probably know more than me on this, but I think it was 65 grand new. They paid 35 grand for it. They were the second or third owners, and it was found next to their barn or whatever on 4 flat tyres and just mullered.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like, some of the rarest cars out there, they get bought by people, but saying that, the people who can buy them often have got a lot of disposable cash, and it's just, well, yes, it's lovely, but I can just get another one.
Yeah, it means nothing to them.
Thank you very much for bringing those in. Coming up next for you, we have the Range Rover Register. Hello. Hello. How are you doing, sir?
We're doing all right.
I imagine you are in here. Now, wonderful to see you. You're part of Range Rover Register, correct?
Yes, we are.
I'm glad I've got the club name right. Tell us what we bought in here.
So she's a 2005 35th anniversary 322, and if that wasn't special enough, it's the first production one ever built. It's number 1.
Number 1. Wow, fantastic. Now, did you know it was number 1 when you bought it?
No, a bit of a funny story with this one. That we were on holiday up in Northumberland probably about 2 years ago now.
I can already see the eyes are rolling over here. So like, I remember this story. Go on, carry on.
So where we were stopping, there was this 35th anniversary down the bottom of the road, and obviously there's only 35 of them, and we thought, I know we haven't had out to drink, so it's not alcohol impairment here. So we went down to have a look at it, and it had gone. So the next day it turned up, so went back down there as soon as we saw it and had a word with the owners, who were a little bit, what are you doing looking at our car? And then we told them we used to have number 13. We said that if you ever want to sell it, just let us know. And then he saw it's number 1. I said, okay. And we looked under the bonnet, and sure enough, the plaque, it is genuinely number 1. I think they'd had it since it was about 2 years old, and they'd just used it as a Land Rover, should be really. So it's used for towing horse boxes, renovating houses, and yeah, just as it should have been. But they did look after it, mechanically looked after it anyway. It's got full service history, all Land Rover service history, and yeah, it was. I don't think they wanted to get rid of it, but yeah, I think they'd outlived their usefulness for it, got rid of it, and then got a new model.
Now then, let's move on to you, sir. Hello.
How do you do?
I'm very well. How about yourself?
Yeah, we're doing fine, thanks.
Now, this is quite something, isn't it? Tell me all about this.
It's unique. It's the only two-door Range Rover in its original police livery and carrying all the police gear, which it would have carried when it was in service in 1981. It's one of 10 Range Rovers like this that were delivered to Greater Manchester Police, and ordinarily it would have been 3 years and 250,000 miles on the motorway. But this was taken up by the Radio Communications Division and fitted out as a communications hub. And so it sat in the garage until it was required for a job, and in 10 years did 47,000 miles.
Wow.
It was then, had all the radio gear stripped out and was used as a runabout, but nobody wanted to drive it because there's no power steering.
Mm-hmm.
And so eventually, it's my brother's car, who was Inspector on Traffic in Greater Manchester Police. 1997, when it was due to be scrapped, he put it into the Greater Manchester Police Museum, and it sat there until 2004 when he retired, and the museum no longer had space for it, so he went to the auction.
Everything inside of here, is this all the original gear, or have you had to go and find it all? Was it all stripped out?
When it was in the GMP museum, it had all the original equipment with it as it came out of service. When my brother knew that it was going to be going to auction, he went and had us a word with the museum staff. They took all the gear out, put it in the cellar. He went and bought the car, brought it back. They brought all the stuff out of the cellar and put it back in the car.
Fantastic. The thing that I really like, the old school tracker system. I remember those like from the 90s when you used to have a tracker in your car and then it would beep into the direction that the car was located. Marvellous. Now, we had 38As in just a few minutes ago, and here we are again with another 38. Tell us all about this.
It's the 30th anniversary, 2000 build. I've had it for about 12 years. It's never let me down, really.
Were you looking for a 30th, or were you looking for a Range Rover and then you saw this?
I needed a tractor. I had a Shogun at the time, which it blew up in Europe, so I wanted a decent tractor to go and pick it up on a trailer, and this came up. But I've loved it and kept it ever since.
So you picked up the Mitzi, and then when you got back, got rid of that and kept this?
That's right, yes. Got used to it now.
Was it, do I dare say, a tad more luxurious?
Yeah, the wife liked it, although she doesn't drive it because she doesn't like automatics, but there you go, you can't please some people. But
No, I mean, but these are wonderful things to own. Expensive at times, but wonderful.
They can be. I've spent a lot of money on it, so keep it going, yeah.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, are you?
Yes, I'm absolutely marvellous. Now, colour of this, we had a lovely 38 in a very similar colour to this. I didn't even realise that they made this model in this colour.
Right, it's fairly unique. It's an in vogue, and it was made, it's a limited edition colour. And I think it's the first time they used metallic paint. So it's not sort of my choice of colour, it is part of the vehicle.
I can say the straight lines of this period car, you don't see metallic colours on them. Usually metallic colours they use on more curvy vehicles because they really do show the lines of the car, whereas this is very, very straight lines and usually see sort of solid colours. I'm used to seeing this model Range Rover in a solid colour, so I see a metallic. It's something quite different, and I have to say, I think it looks fantastic.
This is the colour you always associate with the Vogue, the in Vogue, was this blue. Very, very characteristic of them, and say what colour should a Vogue be? It's this colour. Definitely.
I mean,
it's nice.
It's very unusual to see one of these in this colour.
It's a BL colour from this era. It's very close to a couple of other colours they had in the range. I think it's a shade or two different. And it was a bit of an experiment to see whether there's a market for it.
Marvellous. Thank you very much for bringing that to the Gaydon Land Rover show. Now then, hello, how are you?
Not too bad. I had a bad fall last week, hence the colour of my face.
Yeah.
But I'm okay otherwise.
Good. Well, it's wonderful to see you here with us again this year, because I think, was it last year that we opened the show with you guys?
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
And you're back again. I've already commented on the size of your branding, which I think has got even bigger than last year. There's no missing you guys. What else is new in the Range Rover register? What's changed since last year?
Well, I've since been promoted to president of the club. I've been in the club since it was founded, which is 40 years next year. But I've been involved with Range Rovers for 52 of the 55 years that it will have been out. So the register's still active. We don't have many of the very later ones, but I have been involved with one or two strange things. I was recently asked to do an article with a jumbo jet Boeing 747, which they stopped production in 2 years ago, which was celebrating 52 years of Boeing production, which happened to coincide with 52 years of my Range Rover. So we're still quite active.
Very good. Now, you're saying about the younger models joining Range Rover register. Is that typical for when new Range Rovers come out? Is there sort of like almost a gestation period for a filter of new owners to come and join the register? Do the vehicles roughly, say, get to 3-5 years old and then they start joining?
It's a difficult one, to be truthful, because I think the Range Rover, as good as they are and everything, they're a funny vehicle to own, because when you look at the climate today and the current situation, with the road tax the way it is, the fuel economy, the price of the cars, that people aren't like they used. I'm dealing with them like the way I used to do. They're so expensive now, the new ones. But it isn't just that as well. If you do have any problems, the price of the dealers, trying to get the damn things repaired is difficult. And likewise with these earlier ones, which are simpler to maintain in many ways, it's difficult now to get parts for them. So, and I don't think younger people coming into the club can afford to run the Range Rovers. So it's a bit of a compromised situation all round.
You have been around Range Rovers for over 50 years. So the big question that I'm sure you've been asked, and you probably hate answering, what's the best Range Rover?
The best Range Rover is always the one that you're driving at the time.
There you go. That's a classic answer. There it is. Well, wonderful to see you, and many congratulations on your promotion, sir. Wonderful to see you. Thank you very much for coming to see us again. And I won't say last, but by no means least, but you are at the end of the run. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
Marvellous. The sun was out, disappeared behind a cloud, but hopefully it's not gonna rain down on us. Tell us what we brought in here.
Well, the history on this one is that it was in Leeds, deputy mayors originally, hence the long Webasto roof on it. But the reason we got it, and my two lads over here are Range Rover fanatics. We used to live in Oman, and the kids, when they were so high, sat in the back and we went wadi bashing, as they call it. Yeah. So they were brought up on Range Rovers just like this.
Yeah.
And we brought it back.
Yeah.
And ran it around for quite a while, and when we sold it, we missed it.
Yeah.
So we've always had that desire to get it again, just like the one we had. This one is slightly older than the one we had in Oman, but it's a fantastic piece of machinery.
Do you know what? I know exactly what you're talking about with this, because my wife was born out in Muscat, in Oman. Her parents expats, and exactly the same. Had Range Rovers, 2 of them, used to go wadi bashing, and brought them back to England, and then realised how much they cost to run in terms of the fuel. They've still got the Omani plates on the wall at home.
Well, my lads have as well. We've got all in blue, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right then, ladies and gents, we're going to move on to Freelanders. You were first in, so unfortunately, I'm coming to you first. Tell me, firstly, Freelander Owners Club. Tell me all about it.
We're an open club to everyone who loves the Freelander.
Freelander 1 and 2?
Yes, 1 and 2. And we're celebrating our 10th birthday this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't believe Freelander Club's been going 10 years.
It has.
How many members have you got now?
Nearly 14,000.
Wow.
On Facebook.
That's quite a few. Now, on Facebook, is it a buy and a sell, or is it people troubleshooting? What's the general gist?
We have 2 groups, one for buying and selling and the other for general, how do I fix it and how can I make it higher and go off-roading and all that sort of stuff.
And how long have you had a Freelander?
This is my second Freelander and I've had it for 16 years.
So, I mean, they're a bit Marmite, aren't they, Freelanders, especially in the Land Rover community. But I really quite like them.
My family is a Land Rover family, and when it was about 18 years ago, my dad said, there's a Freelander up the road for sale. And then I drove it and loved it, and till the head went. It was wonderful.
So even you were like, oh, I don't want a Freelander.
But then I found this, and
Why didn't you want the Freelander?
I thought it was going to be for old people's car.
You can say it, you know, no one's listening, and this won't be on YouTube tonight at all, you know. You thought it was an old person's car.
Yeah.
I'm not making any comments now that you've had yours for 16 years.
No. I just love it. I just love everything about it.
How long have you had this for?
I've had it 10 years.
10 years. So clearly there's a running theme here, isn't there? What is it about this car that means you've kept it for that long?
I only bought it as a stopgap. I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee before, which was a nightmare. And I bought it as a stopgap while the Jeep was being repaired. And I liked it so much, I sold the Jeep and kept this. And every year it goes through its MOT. And it's never let me down. It's never broken down. It does everything I want it to do. And it uses about half the diesel that the Jeep used to use. So I kept it.
Fantastic. What would it take to swap?
What for?
I don't know, say a Freelander 2.
No, I'll keep this one going as long as I can.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, they were important cars, the Freelander. I remember when Freelander first came out, it was a very different category of car to the rest of the Land Rover range.
Well, you keep saying car. That's what people said they were. They were cars. They weren't Land Rovers. It took them a few years before people started believing they weren't a Land Rover.
There was quite a few murmurs from in there.
Yeah. But, you know, yes, it had the badge, but they kept looking, it's a car. I mean, you know, then they built a two-wheel drive. That didn't go down well, did it? But they're very capable. The only thing wrong with them was the ground clearance. You get a bit of a lift on it, get some tyres on it, go anywhere.
Such as the one that's right on the end over there.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I loved ours. It was, you know.
But people complained and said, oh, it's a car. Yes, and it's not a proper Land Rover and so forth. But then I'm sure, in fact, I'm 99% sure when I say this, that when Land Rover were designing this, they would have looked at who are buying it, who is buying this car, and who could be buying a Land Rover, and how are they using it. The vast majority of the time, it's not going through the green lanes, it's
Correct.
on the road. And how does this perform on the road?
It's really good, yeah. Goes, trucks along quite happily, but it tows things. We use it for work as well, so...
Come on, you. I'm not even going to say what special edition this is. In fact, I'm going to cover that over. No. I know.
You can look now.
I can look now. Now, for people who don't know, your last Freelander, how long did you have that?
Couple of years.
And what did you do to it?
I gave it a very personal gear knob. Literally knob.
Yes. I don't need any, but everyone signed the outside of it. Wasn't it for charity, Help for Heroes, wasn't it? So how much did you raise with that car?
£2,000.
£2,000 you raised with the car with an inappropriate gear stick.
Absolutely.
Not many people can say that in the world, you know.
I'm raising again now for the local veterans support group where I live.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to come find you later. I'm going to make a donation and I'm going to put my name on your bonnet.
Pens on the front.
Excellent. So if others would like to get involved and put their name on your car and help raise some money, where do they find you?
On the Freelanders Owners Club stand.
And do you drive this every day?
Yes.
Do you get comments?
Oh, yes.
And I'm guessing you don't mind that at all?
No, I don't mind. It's fun, isn't it? So it's for a good cause.
It's for a good cause, and life's too short not to have fun, isn't it?
Absolutely. I've just done... Can I just point out, actually, that the Freelander one is a lot better than the two. because I've just done the NC 500 in this last month, and I did 2,500 miles. And the only thing that I lost was the 2 bolts on the front of the bonnet protector.
Which you put there?
No, they was already there.
Well,
but
that's fine.
Them.
But you lost them, yeah.
Yeah,
but the car still worked.
Oh, yeah, I never missed a beat.
Very good. Now, your last one. Let's talk about your last one, because I saw what happened on Facebook. What happened to your last one?
He died.
Did the dreaded MOT man look at it and was like, mm-mm?
He kind of looked and didn't want to drive it or anything because of the knob, and yeah. It died and went to Land Rover heaven.
Did you take the phallus off the inside of the car before it went to heaven?
Yes, I've got it in a box at home. So yeah, I've not put it on this one yet. My fella's here and he might not like it.
My fella's here and he might not like it. Oh my lord! I would love to see the MOT advisory on the certificate.
He would probably say get a bigger knob.
Oh my lord! It's not even midday. Yeah, not even midday. I knew I should have. Yeah, one life, absolutely. Right, I'm going to leave you to it. Wonderful to see that you're back in a Freelander and doing it all again. Right then, let's move on to the next generation, Freelander 2. How long you had this? 7 months?
7 months, 6 months, something like that.
And what did you have before?
A little Mercedes.
A lot of Mercedes. So how is this comparing to the Mercedes?
Far, far better. It's a wonderful machine. We've taken it all sorts of green roads and we've never managed to get it stuck yet.
Fantastic. And that's a very good point. Green roads, people say that they are just cars. So how is it handling on those green lanes?
It depends. You've got 4 settings on the traction control for it, and no matter what lane you get onto, there will be a setting that will actually get you there and back.
You've not got it stuck yet. That sounds like you've set yourself a challenge.
No, I'd rather not get it stuck. I think we know what it will and won't do.
Yeah.
And I've seen various videos on YouTube going through things like the bee in Wales, and I don't think we'd try something like that. That's just a step too far.
And we've talked about Freelanders being very Marmite, especially in the world of Land Rovers. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they are. I think the Freelander 1, Freelander 2 are quite different, and then all the other models that they've done over the years. It depends what you want. Depending what you want, you pick the model that works for you.
Now then, let's go on to you. Tell us what you've done to this.
Not a lot. I've bought this about 4 years ago. The guy before me, his brother works for Land Rover.
Right.
So it's been through the upgrades of Land Rover. Without me doing a lot. This will go anywhere. Believe it or not, people go, Freelander 2 won't go off-road.
Yeah.
This has been every lane in Cornwall.
Yeah.
Defenders in front, Discoveries at the back getting stuck. This straight through.
Very underrated. And yeah, we had, I can't remember how many, were you here a few years ago where we had Freelanders in?
I had my
and
Freelander 1.
That was it. And we had, crikey, we finished the show with it and we had something ludicrous like 40 Freelanders in here.
Yeah, that's right.
And every single person said, love my Freelander, love my Freelander. It's great.
Yeah, that's totally it. You know, yeah, Land Rovers get a bad reputation. Yeah, they do get things go wrong with them. You know, every Land Rover does. It wouldn't be a Land Rover if it didn't break down or something go wrong with it. But yeah, you won't get a more reliable car than a Land Rover. Freelander 2's brilliant.
Brilliant. Right, let's move on to you finally, because you've started. I say started because I know once you start doing things, you never stop, do you?
No, you never stop. It's constant.
So, what have you done so far?
So I've lifted it, put different wheels and tyres on it, winch, snorkel. That's about it, I think.
And what's next? Or what's on the list, should I say?
Stainless steel exhaust next, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long have you had this for?
Just over a year.
Just over a year. And did it look like, I'm assuming it didn't look like this when you got it. Was the plan always, I know what I'm going to do?
No, I just bought it for a run around and then I just started putting bits on it, really.
There's a running theme here, Dad. Have you heard that this? People, so many people buy Freelander. I've just bought it as a run around. I bought it as a stopgap or whatever it might be, and then they end up sticking around.
They do. They're brilliant.
They do, yeah.
What's your thoughts on Freelander?
brilliant car, really good,
Yeah.
reliable, not much to go wrong electric-wise on the Freelander 1, so I like it, yeah.
Have you had any other Land Rovers before this?
No, it's my first one.
First one, right. It'd be interesting to see if you went away from Freelander, bought something else, if you would then went back to Freelander. Would you go for another Land Rover?
I do like the Defenders, but it's just the price of them, isn't it? It's only 1,200 quid, so...
What, really? That is a bargain, absolute bargain. I want to very briefly talk about a charity I'm working with this year. They're called Mental Health Motorbike, and they are on a mission to put a mental health first aider in every town and city across the UK. Now, I want to be part of breaking down the stigma around mental health. When you watch videos like this, you'll go on social media or even come to car shows just like this, and you see beautiful examples of cars, just like the one I'm talking about here. It's very easy to compare yourself and feel that you're not good enough. What you have to remember is that this is the very top of the scale, and what you see on social media and in these videos is only brief moments of the real world. In some cases, it's not the real world. So try not to compare yourself too much and be too hard on yourself. Now, if you want to find out about Mental Health Motorbike, or you need any other form of support, then please do reach out. There's no shame in mental health, and it's all about looking after yourself. Have a look in the description below for some links. In the arena with us now, we have got CVC Register, which is a company vehicle collection register. Now, that's quite a mouthful, guys. You're not making our job very easy here, but we'll come on to that because...
We like it simple, don't we?
Oh,
Series
yes, we do like
2,
simple
much
things.
easier.
Now, before lunch, we were talking about Freelanders. We had a bit of an argument in the arena about Freelanders, about Freelander 1 and Freelander 2, and which was better, etc., etc. But this one's quite a special one, as we can see just behind us. Tell us what we've got here.
Well, this is one of the original Land Rover press cars. A pre-production vehicle, so it's the 43rd before they actually went live with them. And this was used at the time of launch in all the magazines, Top Gear magazine, Land Rover Owner, Men and Motors, all over the place. And it's been currently used today as well.
Fantastic. And you brought this to the show a few times now. How many years have you had this now?
Well, I've had this since 2017. I bought it from a friend of mine who was looking to get rid of his car, looking to get rid of this because he wanted something else. And I was looking for a project. We came to an agreed figure, and I took it on.
Thank you very much for bringing this in. It's wonderful to see. It's wonderful to see you as well, sir. Great to see you again. Now then, whose is this? Is this yours? You own it. Yes. What I really like is over there, Land Rover may contain nuts. May. Plenty of bolts, but...
Yeah.
So tell us about this.
Well, it's pre-production. It's, as far as we know, one of 2 in this colour. And I bought it not realising anything about it at all.
Did you know the CVC register before? So this has got you into all sorts of trouble, bringing you here today with CVC.
Yes, and I met the lovely Ron. No, this isn't as famous as Ron's, obviously, but it's a pre-production, so every now and then things sort of stick up and say, hang on a minute, that's more TD5 than it is Puma, and things like that. So it's a great tool.
So you had no idea?
No.
How did you find out?
By accident. A friend of mine was at a friend of his that runs a Land Rover place, and he put the registration number in their computer, and it came up pre-production, and I went, "Oh, really?" Just one of those things.
And how long have you had it for now?
I think it's 13 years.
13 years.
Well, it was 18 months old when I bought it, and I always get confused by these registrations.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Fantastic. Any plans to move on from her?
Of course not.
Good. That's what we like to see. Hello there. How are you?
Very well.
Looking very comfy.
Thank you.
Tell us what you brought in.
So this is a pre-production. It's a 2009 model as in built, but it's 2010 spec. So just as the L32s were coming to the end of production, it's upgraded dash, and it's also got 3.6 TDV 8 in it as well. And very nice.
And did you realise what you got when you bought it?
Unfortunately, yes, because I've got 6 L322s. And I've gone through all the different types.
Did you see the
including
lady
G4.
there? Look at her head. Yeah. Eyes were closed, the head was shaking, going, oh no.
But again, I saw it come up for sale. It was a very reasonable price, but knowing the registration and having a VX on it, I did some checks on it, and I found out it was made too early when it should have been.
And you were like, we're going to have a look at that car. Let's go and have a look now. And the eyes were rolling back and back and back. So, yeah. So, did you sell any of the others to buy this, or just? No. See, I knew that. I'm just leaning around. No. Didn't.
Strategically placed on different locations.
See, that's exactly what I do. Now then, moving on to you. Hello, how are you?
Right, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Very proudly stood next to the Sport. Tell me about this.
So this is a pre-production Sport. This is VIN number 145. So it's 360 VINs below the first production Sport, which is a left-hand drive one. It's in here, silver one. It's a V6 diesel, and it's the daily driver now. It's the only car we've got at home that works. We've got a modern VW, a modern Corsa, and this 20-year-old Range Rover, and it's the only one that works, and everything works in it.
So not only is it rare, because it's pre-production,
It's rare
but,
because everything works.
and rare because everything works, but of all the vehicles, and you named 2 or 3 there, you own 3 or more vehicles, and the Land Rover's the only one that works.
One that works. It's genuine, and everything works, and it's fab. I paid the fella like nothing for it, like 1,600 quid, and yeah, so found it at the end of last year. I did know what it was. With it being a 54 plate, that's a dead giveaway with the Sport. Whether it's a BP 54 or a VX 54, it's going to be a pre-production car, because the launch was June 2005, so anything on a 54 is pre-production. And the colour really sold it to me, because they're very rare. The Giverny green, and it's got the Aspen green seats. And yeah, it's lovely. Unfortunately, it's been used hard and put away wet. The paint is terrible. But other than the paint, it's fab.
Have you got any plans to restore it, or are you just going to keep using it?
No, I will get new paint. It's been cleaned up massively. It was horrible when it came, and yeah, so it just needs paint and wheel refurb now. This door was red, so don't look at that. That quarter, we're not going to talk about that quarter. That bonnet was black, so it's had a bit of a life, but it'll get some proper paint soon. That's when the VW goes and spend a bit of cash on it. But inside it's dead tidy, and underneath it's dead tidy, and it's got a very nice original non-snappy crankshaft. It's fine, because it's the V6 diesel, so they do have that issue from time to time. But it's genuine. It's been fab. It rides on its original air, and yeah, very comfy daily driver.
I can't believe you bought all of that for 1,600 quid.
Yeah, genuine. The guy had it up for $2,000. It's like, oh, it'll come with a 12-month MOT, and of course it wasn't going to pass that MOT with various lights on the dash. But straight away I got in it, and you could see that it's got a 4x4 screen, so you can look at it where the steering wheel is, and the wheels were pointing very much to the right when the steering wheel was straight ahead. So undid 3 bolts in the footwell, spun the steering angle sensors round 180 degrees till they were straight, and all the lights went off, and it's been fine ever since. It only needed that and a fuel tank guard and a centre prop bearing to get through the MOT, and it's been fine. I think I'm less than $2,000 into it still. And yeah, you wouldn't buy a banger for that, really, would you? And I've got a whole Land Rover for it. And
no, you got a whole Range Rover.
Exactly, as a Range Rover, which is very posh, very fancy, and the children love it. Next generation of Land Rover enthusiasts loving it. And my little queen in the back here waving at everyone as she comes round.
How old is little Queen back there?
She's 3, and he's 8.
So I also have a 3-year-old. How have you managed to keep your 3-year-old that quiet?
Buy her a Range Rover. That's how it works.
There you go.
That's not a bad idea, is it? Now I've got the perfect excuse with my wife.
You get more of them that way. Yeah. Just, it's for the children, it's not mine. Because this is the other Land Rover. There is another Land Rover somewhere, but we won't mention that one.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. I'll just go and move to his village and blame it all on him.
Yeah, fab.
Right then, let's move on to this. Hello, how are you?
I'm all right, yourself?
I'm very well. Tell me about this.
This is a 2007 built for the G4 Challenge that never was.
That never was.
Yeah, this went to Mongolia on the Reese. It was one of 6 built. 1 was written off before it left the UK. On the motorway, they managed to flip it and write it off. And then they went to Mongolia and did the race, and they took some Freelander 2s and some Disco 3s as well.
Fantastic. So how have you come to own it?
So this was for sale at Neen Overland down in Peterborough, and my story is pretty much the opposite, the gentleman with the Range Rover. I ummed and ahed about going to see it, couldn't make my mind up. Decided I would go and see it. Went and picked my mate up. On the way there, my mate gets a text, starts laughing his head off. I says, "What's up with you?" He says, "Oh, your missus has just texted me. Make sure he buys that damn Discovery, Defender. I've heard enough about it."
See, you're playing the game completely wrong. Let's move on to, hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much.
Good. I'll tell you what, we're having a great time here this afternoon, aren't we? We've definitely had something to eat and drink this afternoon, haven't we? Tell us what we bought here.
This is the Trek manager's car for the Trek 2000 rally in South Africa.
Now that is cool, isn't it?
So there's only one of them, basically. There's the one and only. It was taken off the track and put through the vehicle operations, special vehicle operations, and all the various goods were added to it, the lights, the bumper, the roof rack and such like, for the rally itself as the managers.
And in terms of running gear, has that changed much?
No, it's a standard running kit basically. It's a 4 litre, so it's a standard 4 litre for this model.
Now then, last but by no means least, hello, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good. Tell us what we bought in here.
So it's a standard 90. Still got the original 19J 2.5 litre TD engine. It's special and on the CVC because when it was built, it went straight to Gatcombe Park and was on Princess Anne's fleet. We don't know how long for, but we do know it went because we had the pleasure of going into the archive and checking, which was nice. Mm-hmm. And I bought it a couple of years ago as a retirement present.
And did you know that it was that car?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
We only buy cars who have an interesting history, and we believed at the time. We didn't know for certain, but the bloke had told us a story. It was a GWAC, so we knew it had done something because we've got a couple of GWAC discoveries, and it was only when we came up to the archive and it was confirmed, which was very nice.
Fantastic. Well, how about that? We've ended the CVC part of the show on royalty.
Royalty. What a selection of vehicles, though. All done different jobs for different things,
Yeah.
but all belong to Land Rover.
Who's more of a child, your son or you? And so, as you see, Series 1s, we all know the Series 1. We all love the Series 1. It is the very essence, the very start of Land Rover. And we said at the very start of our show that it's important to start putting these vehicles into the hands of future generations, to inspire future generations. And I dare say that he will one day end up the owner of this, just in the same way that you ended up the owner of this from your own father.
Yep. Well, as it may be hard to believe, I was that size once, and I did fit in there just about when I was a little bit older than him when I first got that, but Mini Dodo, as we call him, is over 30 years old now, which is a half-size replica. There's not many have lasted that test of time.
No, I mean, and it's incredibly realistic in the fact that this morning you had to call for some mechanical assistance with it.
Well, I had to give him a bit of a telling off over the phone why there was something wrong, but we fixed it. It's all right.
No, it's fantastic. It's wonderful to see that you are getting your little one involved as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carl Cooper, who me and you go back a fair bit now with working with Series 1s. Obviously, you've worked with Series 1 pretty much for your entire life. Me and you have worked together on various different projects with the Series 1 Club, one of which was your huge event last year.
Yeah, we celebrated, as most know, the 75th anniversary of Land Rover. Being the originals and the first, the club had to put on a big event, our annual rally. And I think we managed to succeed in pulling off the biggest event to date in a very prestigious location. And Tim, all credit to you for filming and capturing it all for us.
It was a huge project. I mean, how many Series 1s did you have there?
just shy of 400.
Right, so they had 400 Series 1s, and you went back to, well, where they pretty much originally tested the first Land Rover.
Yeah, we were just a stone's throw from the factory in the grounds of Packington Estate, which is some of the courses and routes around the estate were used by Land Rover to get the prototypes out and tested.
And pretty much all of the Land Rovers there went on one of the various routes, and pretty much all of them came back into the estate through that huge Ford.
Yeah, the Packington Ford is quite well known for fans, and we were able, it was many years ago open as a public highway, but it was since shut for various reasons. But because we were on site for the rally, we were able to secure use of the Ford, and we probably had about 200 or 300 Series 1s go through it again.
It was just the most incredible spectacle, seeing all of these. I mean, you look at these Land Rovers now, and these are very, very much, there's no denying that these are classics. But to see them just perform, it was like watching, almost like watching an historic athlete, you know, just shrug everything off and be like, yeah, off we go, we're going to go through that and just perform. It was absolutely brilliant to watch and a total pleasure to capture a film. It was a challenge to try and film 400 of you running around in different places. But I think probably the highlight was when you got pretty much all of them lined up in the grounds. It was just, it took about an hour and a half to line all of you up.
Yeah, the weather was fantastic for us as well, and you know, for Tim to capture this historic event, he even took his shoes and socks off and went in the Ford to film it all for us.
So, I did that.
Yeah, I remember.
And I binned the drone as well. The drone went
destroyed one of them.
Yeah.
Blood, sweat and tears went into that event.
Yeah, it literally did. And that whole film though it's on your store, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got a Vimeo. People may have heard of Vimeo. If you look for Series 1 Club Rally Packington on Vimeo, you'll find our footage that Tim put together for us. It's about half an hour long.
Yeah, 30, 40 minutes long.
Yeah, so it's a good watch.
Yeah. Now then, I'm going to come on to you. So, hello, what year is this?
It's 1952.
1952, and it looks absolutely perfect.
Thank you.
How much time have you spent on this?
About 2.5 years on the restoration.
Was this the one that came here last year? It had just been finished.
Yes, it was. Yeah. It was. Yeah.
And it looks. I mean, how have you kept
Beautiful.
it this clean?
Just keeping it in the garage. It's not in daily use. I just keep it for shows.
I wouldn't keep it in my garage. I'd have it in my living room.
It's just immaculate. Every last detail on it is clean. I have never. I mean, even cars that come out of showrooms are not this clean.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. That's true.
So, were you looking for a Series 1? Did you want to restore a Series 1, or were you looking for something to do?
Yes, I wanted to do a Series 1. I did have a Series 2A, which I restored back about 20 years ago. But a Series 1 I wanted to do. And I had the opportunity of this, the chance of this came about. And I took it, and I started just as COVID came in, 2019, and finished it in 2021, 22. So that was my retirement project.
I'm absolutely stunned by this. It's just stunning. Please go and have a closer look at that when it's back on the stand over there, because it's just immaculate. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
What do you think of that next door?
It's a credible restoration. It's almost on the JLR Reborn project standard, I'd suggest.
It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. This one clearly has a fair bit of history to it and a few stories to tell.
One of the most remarkable stories, the reason why I'm here, is the gentleman standing in the crowd there holding up his red phone is the son of a previous owner. And through Tom Pickford, who's a well-known name in Series 1 circles, very kindly said, "Oh, I've got a photograph of LPP 391. I was busily trying to get the registration back, which failed, unfortunately, and got issued with an age-related plate. But I'm not going to give up. Richard's going to help me trying to get some more provenance together. And he's even pushed it further back to a gentleman we think who bought the car new in 1948, a Major General Bradshaw.
Wow.
Now that name, W. Bradshaw, is what appears in the county archive at Bucks County. He lived in Northants, registered in Bucks, registered the day before the car was dispatched out, so there's no way they could record the chassis number in the archive for the county, which is an anomaly, which is perhaps common to many more cars than you'd realise. The lady at Bucks County said that it's not uncommon for registrations to be issued and dealers to be handed the logbooks before the car was even built, and that's what happened in this case. It wasn't dispatched out to the 21st of December, having had it registered on the 15th of December. So there's no surprise that without the logbook, I'm not going to be able to get the registration, as the current DVLA system seems to want to resist. The club archive officer has been very helpful. Mick Byrne said, let's get it registered with an age related. We go back with more provenance, and that's what I'm doing at the moment with Richard's help and people like that, and his generous family's efforts to research it, because it's a local vehicle, it's a Buckingham car. Tom Pickford knows the car. His father went to buy the car apparently years ago when it was in parts and pieces. Gavin Howell was the area rep for Dorset and West Hants, where I'm based, and I'm the current area rep. And sadly, he died in tragic circumstances about 2014 when I acquired the car quite by accident outside club circles. It was quite a remarkable turnaround. Saw the car. I'm going to buy this, it's going to be a challenge. I've never done the sort of welding and the construction on a car before. I've taught myself to weld, completely rebuilt the chassis, rebuilt the original bulkhead. Everything on this car has come together from a series of about 4 equivalents of shed and buried in Ringwood, where Gavin stored all this stuff for 40 years of collecting. He was a remarkable man. And I've had the privilege to restore it in the last 2.5 years to run in condition and get it back on the road. And now the final step is to get that number back if I can. It's right to have its original number. And if it's this provenance with this lady who's currently alive, the daughter of Major General Bradshaw is still alive, not far away from here. And so that's the next step. If we can persuade her to at least see the car and somehow help identify it, it might be one way of convincing the DVLA to just not be so doggy manger about it. You know, it's getting beyond a joke. In fact, the Federation of the Historic Vehicle Building Club, or owners clubs, they're now looking into a DVLA inquiry to try and get the government to say to them, look, you need to review the way you register old classic cars, because clearly there are a lot of cars, and Land Rovers are particularly vulnerable to this, where they're laid up in barns or hedges for many years. The VIN plate's still on the car, the number's stamped in the chassis, it's not been forged, I can assure you, it's totally genuine. And yet, because the number is even hand-painted on the front and the back, it's got a later plastic plate which came with the car, incidentally. It's got its old plastic plates as well. I've kept those, kept everything as is, so this is why it's restored in this patina condition, because it's extraordinary that JUE 477, as you know, was restored by Sir Jim Ratcliffe with the help of a few professionals. I've done all this myself, every scratch built, every nut, every bolt I've cleaned, reassembled and done it in, funnily enough, 2.5 years, like Gary next door. And I can actually say that a restoration of this type is actually equally as difficult than that sort of restoration, because you're trying not to paint everything and resist the temptation to go down that road. So the only replacement panels are the door bottoms, which are new old stock items because they disappeared, unfortunately, and the tailgate. So most of this car is original. Let's hope we can get the number back. And I've been a member since 1980s. I've joined the Series 1 Club and the register. Dipped in and out of membership. Married life takes its course. You can't have that, you can't have that. Oh, you can have one of those again. And I find myself driving to the end of the earth with these old cars. We were down in Sussex at the South Land Rover Rally, and I took this one and drove it there. It was quite a hard drive, I must admit. And I'm almost as old as this Land Rover, so I'm finding it takes its toll on me now long distance, so I tend to chicken out, and I cheated out today and brought it on a transporter. But it's getting to the point where traffic and modern conditions make these cars very difficult to drive. This is why people like Gary quite sensibly bring them, you know, like I do on a transporter or a trailer, because you look in your mirror and you're driving along and you're holding up about a 10-mile queue of traffic behind you, and they're all getting you one fingers and all the rest of it. It's a shame that people can't appreciate the old vehicles, but keep them on the old roads, enjoy the drive, trundle along. That's what I do, and I do it at home. Take it out, use it regularly, go trip to the tip, that sort of thing. Always causes a smile on the face. People ask lovely questions. I've enjoyed it. It's a privilege to be here.
Well, I couldn't have put any of that better myself. That was a real pleasure, a privilege speaking to you, sir. I really enjoyed it. You know, 2 vehicles, both of which have gone through 2.5, 3 year restorations, and 2 very different ways of doing it. And both of them, I'm sure, are very different stories to tell.
Yeah, massive stories, though. That's the thing, isn't it? Everyone has their own special story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unique.
Hello there, how are you?
All right, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. What year have we got here?
1954.
1954. Tell me a little bit more about it.
Well, our restoration took a little bit longer than 3 years. It took 7 years. With family life and houses coming along and things like that, it's you would start it, do a bit for a month, and then leave it for a year. So a bit longer. Finish the rest. We bought it in 2010. Finished the restoration in 2017, 6 days before our wedding. So my and wife's wedding. So it's a father and son project. I'd always wanted a Series 1. I needed financial backing, so persuaded my dad to do it with me.
There it is, I needed financial back. Dad, haven't you always wanted a Series 1, Dad? No, but yes, okay. What is it about the Series 1 then that draws you to it?
I've always had Land Rovers, had quite a few Defenders, a couple of Range Rovers, things like that. It's just the original one, isn't it? It's where it all started from. So,
how does this compare to the others that you've had?
It's not as comfortable, and for someone who's 6'4" tall, it's not very easy to drive, I can tell you. So I have a bit of a rule that if I take it somewhere within an hour, I'll drive it. If it's over an hour, it goes on a trailer, because otherwise I can't get out at the other end.
And were you at the big celebration that we had last year?
We weren't. We couldn't make it, unfortunately, but we are going to York this year.
Excellent, excellent. Well, make sure you, if you haven't watched the video already, make sure you do, because then you'll realise what you missed. No, it was fabulous. Right then, final Series 1 in our arena. Hello, sir, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Is this, I'm looking, by chance, a 51?
It is.
Excellent, I can read. My GCSE English is serving me well. Tell me a little bit more about this.
It was something that I bought from my father-in-law in 1993. He bought it off a friend that he used to work with in Crew Works, and he partly restored it, and then he bought another old Austin, and that took over his restoration project, so it was passed on to me. Well, I wanted to buy it off him, if I'm honest, so I finished the restoration off, and I've really enjoyed holding it ever since. So.
And have you had to do another restoration since then, or has it been sort of doing odd jobs here and there?
Just odd jobs here and there. The last one was this time last year, actually. We found a hole in the radiator, and when that was it, we got around to looking at it properly, and it needed recoring, so that was a bit of a big job before last Christmas. So,
but worth it?
Absolutely, absolutely. It won't need another one now.
No.
Well, not while I own it anyway, so.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And you've had this now, I'm trying to tot it up, what, 31 years? What has been, for you, the best moment in this car in that time?
Oh, crikey. There have been several, but hopefully the main event will happen later in October this year, when my 32-year-old daughter gets married, and this is going to be the wedding vehicle. So. So I've got the ribbons ready. We're ready to rock and roll.
Fantastic. Can I just ask, does she know?
She asked for it.
That's all right then, because if she doesn't know, she's going to be in for a bit of a shock.
No, it was all planned. I'm very happy to go along with it.
Brilliant. Well, make sure you come back next year and tell us. I have one final question for you. The badges on the side.
Royal Artillery.
Tell me all about them.
It did serve in the military. It was sold as surplus in 1951 when it was built. It was sold to the military, the War Department. Yeah, and it served in the military till being decommissioned in 1963. And we've got the markings of the Royal Artillery. As I say, the father-in-law did a lot of his restoration to it, and he did his national service in the Royal Artillery. And so this is done with the markings of the regiment that he served in. So
brilliant. What a lovely nod to the history of previous owners of this. Fantastic. Let's move on then to
the lightweight Land Rover Club.
Now, I might be wrong here, but I think a little bit of me thinks I might be right. The lightweight Land Rover, ironically, once everything was bolted back onto it, was heavier than the original.
Yes. Now, allegedly, the chassis were thicker on the Air Portable, which is what they are.
But a lightweight Land Rover with everything taken off it, so it could be air portable. How come you have decided to go for a lightweight?
Just always been one of my favourites.
Yeah? Why?
The fun to drive, the fun when they're stripped to drive. You can still strip them down and use them as a daily. Well, why wouldn't you?
And this is one of the things with lightweights, is they were immensely popular with people who wanted to work on their vehicles because they can be stripped down very quickly, but also people who like to modify them as well, because you could unbolt all the bits very quickly and bolt new bits to it very quickly as well. What year is yours?
82.
82, right. How long have you had it?
A few years.
A few years? And did you have a lightweight before, or were you looking for...
I've had lightweights in the past, yeah.
So clearly you like this model. You like the ability to take things off and bolt things to and so forth. Am I right in saying that we use this out and about as well, not just on road?
Yeah, just daily for work, and they go different places. Yeah, they're good fun vehicles.
Let's move on to this one here. Tell me what year this is.
This is 1972. It's one of the first Series 3s that came out, so it was late 72.
And were you looking for a Series 3 when you bought it, or was it just you were looking for a lightweight? Tell me the story of how you've come to own.
I went to a Peterborough show, and they stripped these right down, and it reminded me of the Jeeps in MASH. Just looked so basic and easy to work on. And so I thought, I was thinking about getting a Land Rover. It was my son, he was 13, he got me into Land Rovers and going to Land Rover shows. So I said, we'll get a project and do it together. He said, that's great. And then when he got to 14, he discovered these things called girls. I don't know if you've heard of them. For some reason, to a 14-year-old, a girl was more interested in a Land Rover. Can't believe that. But
No. How old's your son now?
24.
24. Is he interested in Land Rovers again yet?
No.
It won't be long.
So it's still my project. So so I wanted to come to shows like these. They're all over 100 miles away. So I was looking for one that had a TDI. And this one came up. It was a project. The guy had bought a 300 TDI engine but never fitted it. So I got it as a bargain and got that installed and sort of been maintaining it and upgrading it ever since.
Fantastic. I mean, you're 11 years into it now.
Yeah.
You're still smiling.
Yeah. My wife's not.
There is a running theme here. But we've got a lightweight addict in you. How many lightweights you've had? If you didn't have your lightweight, what would you go for?
I'm always tempted by the 101s, but can't really take them shopping, can you, to Sainsbury's? So.
I think I've actually been to Sainsbury's shopping in a 101, you know.
Yeah, so...
It wasn't the best thing, I'll be honest. That's fine, just park it behind the 90. There you go, it's all sorted. Right then, ladies and gents, it's time for us to close the arena. A big thank you to everyone who's come in and joined us in the arena. A big thank you to our two guys here and everybody else who's brought a vehicle in, and everyone who has joined us around the arena listening to me and Dave.
Yeah, thank you. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. Right, thank you very much, ladies and gents. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, underneath this video you'll find a thumbs up and a subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up, that really helps this channel grow. It works with that YouTube algorithm. And if you hit that subscribe button, you'll get a notification every time I publish a new video, and there's loads of great content coming up, including highlights from Simply Land Rover down at Bewley later this year. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Right, look at this. Look at this. So this is the sketch. You've done this.
I've done that, yeah.
Right. Look at this. What does it say here? Music by Tim Watson. What are you expecting me to do?
Play your laptop with some nice music on, not too loud, that people like. Some nice, easy stuff like the Beatles or Slade.
Bublé.
Or, yeah.
Do you want some Bublé?
No, that's Dave's favourite group. Or favourite person.
Music by Tim Watson. The show season has begun.